As we mentioned this week, the Iraqi military launched its most complex and ambitious operation in more than a decade. The target? Mosul, Iraq's second largest city. ISIS took Mosul 2 years ago. Now, a U.S.-backed coalition aims to deal ISIS a crippling defeat there. The battle is expected to take months. There are fears of a terrible humanitarian toll. But the battle for Mosul has been cast as decisive. For ISIS, some even say it could be the beginning of the end.
We can't predict how long it will take for the Iraqi security forces to defeat Daesh in Mosul, but we know they will succeed.
The Iraqis have the capabilities to get this job done.
Officials talk like triumph is assured against a foe they say is on the run.
Just as ISIL's been defeated in communities across Iraq, ISIL will be defeated in Mosul as well, and that will be another step towards their ultimate destruction.
Over the course of a year, in Syria and especially Iraq, an offensive has hammered ISIS territory, wiping away areas of control. In Iraq, Mosul is its final urban stronghold. But ISIS has always thrived on its enemies' overconfidence.
We're not dealing with a ragtag militia. We are dealing with a very sophisticated military force, a jihadist regime that has something akin to a multi-divisional military and a very sophisticated intelligence service, which is why it's able to occupy the territories that it is and mount transcontinental terrorist attacks.
After a lightning advance earlier in the week, the anti-ISIS coalition slowed to a crawl. The pushback fierce.
When you see people talking and using the words beginning of the end, I would be cautious.
ISIS may be faced with a force that's bigger, better equipped, and backed by coalition air power, but it doesn't need to hold Mosul to claim victory.
They don't have to defeat the coalition. They have to make sure that they are resistant, because that's what's going to get them more recruits. They're susceptible to this mystique that this is somehow a very powerful organization, larger than life, and all it has to do is feed that perception.
ISIS leaders can melt away to Syria and fight another day.
The core of ISIS is running between Raqqa and Deir ez-Zor in Syria.
Near that ISIS heartland, there are no allies on the ground in a position to mount an assault. It remains a sanctuary.
Regardless of what happens in Mosul, those other parts of ISIS will continue to do what they are doing. And this is the insidious sophistication of ISIS that we are underestimating.
Meanwhile, in dislodging ISIS from Mosul, civilians are expected to pay a horrific price.
The next period, through this push, we're gonna really see a tremendous amount of bloodshed and devastation.
This fight between ISIS and the Iraqi government, another chapter in more than a decade of sectarian violence between Sunni and Shia Muslims in Iraq.
I mean, I've been going in and out of Iraq since the mid-1990s. You have now got young people who've never known a peaceful day, who've never known what it means not to suffer. And when you have very little to live for, war becomes and violence become a very tantalizing proposition. ISIS exists because there are those who support it.
For ISIS, posing as a protector of Mosul's Sunni Muslims against the government's Shia oppression, every civilian casualty can score it propaganda points.
You have 30,000 troops now that are amassing. You have, they are predominantly Shia troops. They're heading into a predominantly Sunni area. And it is going to, by definition, be extremely tenuous, extremely acrimonious.
ISIS's own brutality is believed to have inspired Shia score settling in the past.
How are the Iraqi security forces going to mitigate this is something that we're just going to have to wait and see, because I'm not convinced that all of a sudden, Mosul is going to be liberated and the Shiites and the Sunnis are going to go sing Kumbaya.
If Mosul is taken, but the population subjugated, Sunni rage only grows stronger. And that's exactly what gave birth to ISIS and its predecessors in the first place.
We have seen this monster rise up from the ashes many times before. This entity has been in the making since 2003, when we had regime change in Iraq. When we topple regimes thinking we're going to bring democracy, we have to be aware that between the early signs of democracy and the actual toppling of the incumbent regime, there's a lot of bloodshed, decades of bloodshed.
For Mosul to be a true blow against ISIS, it has to break a cycle of violence and misery, a humanitarian and political problem that seems immune to mere military success.
We don't learn from past experience, and we neglect what history tells us. And what history tells us is that the peace is more important and harder to achieve than the war.